Yeah. As they say, how about them apples? So I want us to be ready. For this. So will you take the whole period?
No, 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh, that's great. So we might even get to this before lunch. Take your whiteboard marker just like we did yesterday. Oh, it should already be there. Yeah. Gorgeous. Do they need readers of books?
You can choose. What do you think's better when you do read aloud? Do you do a lot of writing or just turn and talk? Let's just do turn and talk for time.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, you're great. All right. So I have to tell you, my friend Natalie is here because she's heard. I mean, everyone by now has heard of your just utterly brilliant turn and talks and conversations.
True.
What I'd like you to do is, honey, are you looking for this?
No, I'm just trying to put my notebook away.
Did I ask you to put your notebook away? Or are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just gotta go with her.
Honey, they always go right here. Oh, it's okay. All right, sorry, I was really confused about what was happening. All right, so you're going to put these notebooks in your seat back, and then I want you to come back to sit in your Edward Tulane read aloud class. I'll see you in 40 seconds.
Hi.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm like on survival mode this semester.
Oh, that's me. I need my notebook. Look, you see yourself. Nice to meet you. Hi, people. It's a video. Balloons. Okay, stop. I'm gonna make out with Jason on this computer.
Excuse me. There are a lot of things that are not okay right now. One being you're not following directions. Two being that's a grown-up's computer that does not belong to you. Why don't you take care of number one and number two will be fixed?
I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
Okay.
Yes, that's thinking. That's thinking clubs. Oh. Now, this broke, so you need the elbow.
You might have read this, and it might be a read too.
I have it. Not for them. It's going to be good for them.
Can I turn these on?
Third graders, I'm waiting for your best posture. And your utmost respect for Miss Natalie and this time we're going to have together.
So, here's the deal. I heard awesome things. I spent a little bit of time in your class last semester. I don't know if you remember. But I have heard awesome things about your conversations with your clubs and your partners. And so I'm thinking even other third grade classes across the United States might be able to learn from your conversations. How does that sound? Awesome. Okay. So you gotta have your best conversations ever, so maybe I could share with others. So today I'm going to read Each Kindness, and you might have already read it, but now you're more mature than you were in second and first grade, so I think you can get deeper messages out of it than you might have when you were in those grades. And so this is about Maya, and she's a new student, right? But also, she's not very nice to her, especially this girl named Chloe. Chloe's like always ignoring her, but Chloe does kind of change a little bit. And as I'm reading, I want you to think about how Chloe changes. Now, first I'm going to teach you two words that are words that have multiple meanings, okay? So everyone say brilliant. Brilliant. Bright and radiant. Brilliant means bright and radiant. Brilliant means bright and radiant. So if the sun is brilliant, it's like super, super bright through your window that day, okay? And the other word I want to teach you is laced. Everyone say laced?
Laced.
And that just means intertwined. Or woven together. Okay? So laced is intertwined, and you can kind of remember that through that. Okay? So think about in this how Chloe changes and what she learns. Each Kindness by Jacqueline Woodson. This is my favorite author. That winter, snow fell on everything, turning the world a brilliant, bright white. We kind of know what that's like in New York. One morning, as we settled into our seats, the classroom door opened and the principal came in. She had a girl with her, and she said to us, "This is Maya." Maya looked down at the floor. I think I heard her whisper, "Aloud." We all stared at her. Her coat was open, and the clothes beneath it looked old and ragged. Kind of rough. Her shoes were spring shoes. Oh, it's kind of weird because it's winter and it's cold with the snow, right? Not meant for the snow. A strap on one of them had broken. I'm wondering, what did I just learn about Maya? I'm thinking maybe she doesn't have that much money. Maybe her family's struggling because she has old, ragged clothes and she doesn't have the right shoes for the snow. Maybe she's a little different. Yeah? I also learned she's new to this school. Our teacher, Miss Albert, said, "Say good morning to our new student," because most of us were silent. It's weird because usually when a new student comes, I want to talk to them a lot, but they're silent. The only empty seat was next to me. That's where our teacher put Maya. On that first day, Maya turned to me and smiled. But I didn't smile back. I moved my chair, myself, and my books a little farther away from her. When she looked my way, I turned to the window and stared out the window. And every day after that, when Maya came into the classroom, I looked away and didn't smile back. I see you making this face really? What are we learning about Chloe, the narrator, right now? What kind of person is she and how do you know that? I talk in your club session.
She was a person who overreacting about it seems like she's afraid of Maya because talking to she's not like
Alright, let's bring it back to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. I heard some of you say she's judgmental. And she's judging a book by its cover. She's not smiling back. She's moving herself away. She's staring out the window instead of making eye contact with Maya. So maybe she's also harsh or inconsiderate. My best friends that year were Kendra and Sophie. At lunchtime, we walked around the schoolyard, our fingers laced together, whispering secrets into each other's ears. They must be like really close friends. It's kind of like a clique. One day, while we were near at the slide, Maya came over to us. She held open her hand to show us the shiny jacks and tiny red balls she'd gotten for her birthday. "It's a high bouncer," she said. But none of us wanted to play. So Maya played a game against herself. I'm wondering how Maya's feeling. She must be feeling really lonely or heartbroken.
Well, she's probably wrong with it.
Because now she has to play by herself. That for her. That afternoon, when we got back into the classroom, Maya whispered to me. You can tell she's really trying to fit in, right? Make friends. "Bet you can't guess who the new Jacks champion of the world is." Behind me, Andrew whispered, "Chloe's got a new friend. Chloe's got a new friend." "She's not my friend," I whispered back. Chloe. The weeks passed. Every day we whispered about Maya, laughing at her clothes, her shoes, the strange food she brought to lunch. Some days, Maya held out her hand to show us what she had brought to school. A deck of cards, pick-up sticks, a small tattered doll. Whenever she asked us to play, we said no. I'm noticing that Maya is still trying to be their friend. What are some things that she's doing to try to be their friend? What's she doing?
She's trying to join them, but they're just excluding her.
Yeah, and what are ways that she's trying to get in with their friend group? Like, what are ways she's trying to invite herself in?
She's trying to show her cool stuff.
She shows her toys.
But they don't think it's cool, but that she brought old rugged toys to school.
So she's bringing those toys, which are cool to her, but maybe not to the others. What else? Did she do anything else to try to get in their friend group?
Well, one thing I noticed is she tried to make them interested about her by saying cool stuff.
Yeah, like here, right? They can't guess who the new Jax champion of the world is. The days grew warmer and warmer. The pond thawed. Grass began growing where snow had once been. One day, Maya came to school wearing a pretty dress and fancy shoes. But the shoes and dress looked like they belonged to another girl before Maya. I have a new neighbor, Kendra whispered. Never knew. Everything she has came from a secondhand store. We all laughed. Maya stood by the fence. She was holding a jump rope, but did not come over to ask us if we wanted to play. After a while, she folded it double, rolled the ends around each hand, and started jumping. She jumped around the whole schoolyard without stopping. She didn't look up once, just jumped, jumped, jumped. Read that part again. She didn't look up once. She just jumped, jumped, jumped. This is something I don't think you probably thought about in second grade. Why do you think the author wrote just jumped, jumped, jumped? Turn and talk with the people in the
I think the author maybe maybe she's trying to show it to the girls. It's been a long time since every time she jumped from another person.
Okay, let's go back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're such a great class. Amazing. So one thing I heard is, I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget it, is that someone said she knows that Chloe and her friends aren't going to play with her anymore. So Maya thinks it's not worth it to go over to them anymore, and so instead, she's just jumping by herself. It's like you can hear the loneliness as she jumps and jumps and jumps by herself. There's no one here. The next day, Maya's seat was empty. In class that morning, we were talking about kindness. Miss Albert had brought a big bowl into class and filled it with water. We all gathered around her desk and watched her drop a small stone into it. Tiny waves rippled out away from the stone. This is what kindness does, Miss Albert said. Each little thing we do goes out like a ripple into the world. Each little thing we do goes out like a ripple into the world. What does that mean? What do you think that means?
That means if somebody doesn't kind to you, But they don't find a bad doesn't feel sad and sadness is
Have you ever dropped a stone into the water and seen the ripples and it just goes? Huh. Any other thoughts on that? What that means?
I think what it means is the teacher is trying to say, like, every action you do will affect others who will led by their emotions affect others will just keep affecting more and more people. So each choice you make, another person could react to the whole world.
And I'm wondering, based on that, what Chloe's thinking right now about herself. Because she hasn't been very kind, right? What effects of her actions have?
Actually, none of them.
Then Miss Albert let us drop the stone in as we told her what kind things we had done. Joseph had held the door for his grandmother. Kendra helped her baby brother's diaper. Helped change her baby brother's diaper. Even mean old Andrew had done something. I carried teacher's books up the stairs, he said. And Miss Albert said it was true. I stood there, holding Miss Albert's rock in my hand. Son. Even small things count, Miss Albert said gently. But I couldn't think of anything, and passed the stone on. Maya didn't come to school the next day, or the day after that. Each morning, I walked to school slowly, hoping this would be the day Maya returned, and she'd look at me and smile. I promised myself this would be the day I smiled back. Each kindness, Miss Albert had said, makes the world a little better. But Maya's seat remained empty. And one day, Miss Albert announced to the class that Maya wouldn't be coming back. Her family had to move away, Miss Albert said. Then she told us to take out our notebooks. It was time for spelling. Why did the author write that? And she told us to take out our notebooks. It was time for spelling. Why would she write that?
I know what they're gonna do.
Go turn and tell your partner. Why would the author
I know
tell
what
you
they're
to
gonna
tell
do.
you?
I know what they're gonna do. If I didn't know, because why else would I do that? They can spell. They can spell. Or maybe they could like for spelling, they would do like sun is on second. And they're like right notes. The only way to spell is you can I'm just
Two, one. So here's what I'm thinking. Spelling is something they probably do every day, right? So I kind of think the author might have included this to show us that even though Chloe's starting to change, and even though Maya moved away, life still goes on the same. Just a thought I might have, right? Like, her family had to move away, Miss Albert said. Then she told us to take out our notebooks. It was time for spelling. So it's kind of like life goes on, even though the people are changing. I don't know, just an idea. That afternoon, I walked home alone. When I reached the pond, my throat filled with all the things I wished I would have said to Maya. Each kindness I had never shown. I threw small stones into it, over and over, watching the way the water rippled out and away, out and away. Like each kindness, done and not done. Like every girl somewhere, holding a small gift out to show someone, and that someone turning away from it. Do you think Chloe's changed at all from the beginning? Yeah, kind of now. Talk with your group. How has she changed? Or has she changed?
Yeah, she regrets it. She regrets what she did. And as a person, she should do that. It's like Maya's different. I think Chloe has been apologized since the beginning. Chloe did.
Tommy, another closer.
Chloe was acting out almost a bunch of and now she
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This sounds like you guys could talk forever. You have really noticed ways that she has changed. Can we just hear a couple of those ways? Yeah.
One of the ways she changed was like in the beginning, Chloe was acting like Maya wasn't there, and like it was like it. But then now, Chloe at the end of the story, Chloe's starting to regret of what she did, and maybe like want to have like Maya back. So life doesn't always go the way you ask.
Because sometimes life just keeps going. Right? Maybe just yeah.
well, what we thought was that when Maya left, she realized what she's done. She realized how little Maya deserved to be treated the way she treated Chloe actually treated her, and she realized like wow, and she kind of thought to herself, why did I do this? She realized Maya is a good person, and she regretted every second that she did that because she realized that she was being so hard on her for no apparent reason, just because she was different, and she let others into that also, which revolved into like something kind of spreading that she was not. Maya was weird. Maya was different. Maya was like dirty, and when she did it with 2 other friends, she made Maya like be like a big point where everyone stopped and looked at her like she was a weirdo, even though she was like the other person. Like she was adding people in to make her just feel more and more upset about herself and like not being able to get it.
It almost sounds like she's kind of regretful now, doesn't it? Of how she used to be. I watched the water ripple as the sun set through the maples, and the chance of a kindness with Maya became more and more forever gone. I watched the water ripple as the sun set through the maples, and the chance of a kindness with Maya became more and more forever gone. So we talked about how Chloe changed, but I also know that in books, and you know this, when characters learn a lesson, we can definitely learn a lesson. What do you think is a big lesson that you learned here? And I don't want it to be the 2nd grade lesson that you learned, which was be kind to everyone, right? You guys are in 3rd grade now and you have really intelligent conversations. Try to talk with your group. What have you learned? What do you want to take with you?
I learned I want to share. I want to eat. Please don't do that. You're trying to have a life what they have you're talking about that's a good example.
Please don't move your judges as you think about it.
She didn't even meet her.
Consider what she said.
Always the way you want it. No, it's not. It's saying yes, that's right. Also, don't judge me by that's what I always say.
I take it back in 3, 2, 1, 0. So, a lot of you came up with lessons you're going to carry with you. And I was thinking, because there were a lot of really profound lessons, that we could get in a circle real quick around the room. And you don't have to share. But if you have a lesson that you want to share, you can say it. And then we'll go to the next person. We'll just say our lessons around the room. Okay? And if you agree with someone's lesson, you can show us too. So can you just quickly get to a spot around the room? Wow, so quick. Thank you. It's so quiet. There's a spot here. Okay. And it doesn't have to be like a whole speech. You don't have to tell us a whole paragraph, right? But in one sentence, if you can tell us the lesson you're going to take with you from each kindness. Starting with you, and then we'll go around.
Treat other people how you want to be treated.
Don't disrespect someone if they're different because we're all the same human being. Don't judge a book by its cover. Always respect people. Always sing on the inside. If you have to choose kind or rude, you should always choose kind because if you're rude later on, you'll always regret it.
Never say people don't belong with you because then you'll realize that all they are is stupid boss.
Don't reject people and try to make friends. Accept people the way they are. Don't take them as a different person. If somebody's different, that doesn't mean you should be rude to them. Do what you can do while you can do it. Don't say no. Let them try out first. Make sure that you're being the best you can be beside the person. Just because someone is different doesn't mean you shouldn't try to make friends. Don't judge someone by their clothes. If you're friends with somebody from another culture, don't let friends that are not friends with that person push that person from the other culture around. Try to be kind no matter what. Different doesn't mean bad.
Everyone deserves a second chance to fit in. Tommy, you're behind a judge book, a book by the cover. Someone said that already. It's okay.
Even if you're you should always regret being bad because Because if you're bad, others will treat you bad. It's literally just like treat you how you want to be treated.
And mine is take advantage of your first opportunity because you might not always get a second opportunity. Oh, are you dying to share it? Go ahead.
It's another one from another book.
Does it relate to this?
Well, it's a book on Helen Keller.
Mm-hmm.
Don't kick a soldier out of the battle if they haven't even tried yet.
And that's like
No.
Maya, right? So
What's
they
that?
didn't give Maya the chance. Thank you guys. You are such a lovely class and so intelligent about your thinking.
Haven't they grown up since the fall?
Yes.
You see it?
And I can even see that they've become kinder towards one another too. So thank you for having me.